Because my childhood sweetheart was publicly confessed to by a transfer student. While I hid on the sidelines watching the show, I ignored his pleading look. That little girl grabbed my waist so hard it turned red. And she said in an indignant tone, "You'll get a son from me one day, and you'll be punished. Binding Bing, I like you." The shout of Subai was loud. It was so loud that half the people in the corridor turned to look. He leaned against the wall with one hand, striking a pose he thought was cool. With his other hand, he held a bouquet of roses. Bai Lingbing rolled his eyes dramatically. He didn't even bother to glance at Subai. His gaze passed over Subai's shoulder, finding me with eyes that held a hint of plea and a trace of disdain. And there was tension in the air. "Come on, help me sort out this huge troublesome secret." I folded my arms and leaned against the wall opposite. I didn't move because I knew my Ningbing didn't need my help at all. Sure enough, Bai Ningbing finally spoke. His voice was clear and icy. "Who are you?" The smile on Subai's face instantly froze. "I'm Subai." The new transfer student laughed. He didn't seem to dare respond. Bai Ningbing didn't even recognize him. After all, he has a face that makes every girl in school scream. Bai Ningbing let out an "oh" sound, in a drawn-out tone. "Don't know me? Get out of my way." Subai's face tinted green for a moment, then turned white for a moment. Around us, the sound of stifled sneaky laughter echoed. He took a deep breath, as if trying to save face. "Ningbing, don't be like this. I know you're too shy to be my girlfriend. I'll treat you well." Bai Ningbing sounded as if he'd just heard the funniest joke ever. He burst out laughing. "Are you out of your mind? Why on earth should I be your girlfriend? Just because you're plain looking? Or because you're so full of yourself?" Subai's expression completely shattered. Bai Ningbing didn't even give him a chance to speak, and stopped calling me Ningbing. That sounded disgusting to me. I'll say it one last time. Get out of the way. His aura is too overwhelming. Subconsciously, Subai withdrew the hand he'd been using to lean against the wall. Bai Ningbing didn't even glance at him again. He walked straight toward me. He skillfully slipped his arm around mine, gently lifting my face. The frosty expression from moments before instantaneously transformed into a radiant smile. "Shenzei, let's go home." "All right," I said with a smile as I ruffled her hair. Then my expression turned ferocious. Bai Ningbing, grabbing the soft flesh at my waist and giving it a twist. "Why didn't you help me just now?" "Ouch, ouch, ouch, miss, let go, you're doing it wrong. Next time, we'll silently pass right by Subai." I could clearly feel that sneaky gaze. That was nearly locked onto my back. It was as if he was trying to steal me away. He was overthinking it. Ever since Bai Ningbing and I were born, our fates have been intertwined. We're neighbors, classmates, best friends, and our parents had long arranged for us to be an engaged couple. In our world, there have only ever been minor hiccups between us, never enough to disturb our happiness. On our way home, Bai Lingbing kept complaining about whether that guy was something wrong. Today, I met him for the first time, and he immediately came over to confess to me. He even tried the K-Don move. Oh my god, how cheesy. And that bouquet was ridiculously ugly. I listened to his complaints with a smile. All right. Don't be mad. It's not worth getting upset over someone like that. Not worth it. I pulled a lollipop out of my backpack, unwrapped it, and held it to his lips. He took it into his mouth in one bite. His cheeks puffed out, like a little hamster. With the candy in his mouth, his speech was muffled. "Strawberry flavor is good. Do you think he'll bother me again tomorrow?" Looking at how cute he was, my heart melted. "Don't worry, I've got you." I thought Subai, after being so bluntly rejected by Ningbing, would at least tone it down a bit. But as it turned out, he'd underestimated just how thick his skin was. The next day, he drove a flashy red sports car right up to the school gate, with the hood completely covered, in roses arranged into a giant star shape. He was dressed in a crisp white suit, and holding a guitar in his arms. Under everyone's gaze, he began strumming and singing, and the song, some cringy, overly sappy, cheesy love ballad. When Ningbing and I arrived at the school gate, this was the scene we saw. Ningbing's expression was utterly indescribable. He grabbed my hand and immediately turned to leave. "Let's go in through the back door." I didn't move. Instead, I pulled him back. "Why should we hide? He's the one who should be hiding." I dragged Ningbing, expressionless, straight toward the center of the crowd. When Subai saw us, his eyes lit up. He sang even more enthusiastically, and even threw Ningbing an oily, flirtatious wink. The girls around us started shrieking. Ningbing nearly threw up. I stepped right in front of Ningbing, blocking Subai's view completely. Subai's singing stopped abruptly. He frowned and looked at me. "Who the hell are you?" "Move, I haven't finished speaking yet." Ningbing peeked out from behind me. "He's my fiancé. And who are you? Screaming your lungs out here at dawn. Don't you know you're disturbing people?" Ningbing emphasized the words, fiancé with extra weight. The crowd instantly fell silent. Everyone's eyes were now fixed on Subai and me. Although we were practically inseparable at school, most classmates had only assumed we were dating. None had ever imagined we were already engaged. Subai's face turned extremely grim. "Engaged? Bai Ningbing, don't joke around. What era do you think this is? Are you still doing arranged marriages?" Ningbing let out a cold laugh. "I like it. What's it to you? Kwanzaa's 10,000 times better than you. Take your flowers and your junk car and get lost. Don't stand here making a spectacle of yourself." Subai was so furious he couldn't speak. He'd probably never met a girl like Ningbing before, someone who refused to play by the usual rules. In the past, even if girls rejected him, they'd always do it gently and politely. But Bai Ningbing? She was basically a human rejection machine. Humiliated and enraged, he turned his anger toward me. "Shenzei, right? Look at yourself. What part of you is even worthy of Ningbing? Can you even make him happy? Can you buy him a sports car? Can you buy him designer bags?" I laughed. I looked at him as if he were the jokers in a deck of cards. "So your logic is that money can buy everything, even other people's feelings?" "Sorry, but my Ningbing isn't that cheap." I paused for a moment, then stepped forward, leaned close to his ear. In a voice only the two of us could hear saying, "Who told you? I can't give it to you." Subai was stunned. He probably hadn't expected me to say that. I patted his shoulder and said, "Don't be so full of yourself. Besides, this world is much bigger than you imagine." After saying that, I ignored him and pulled Ningbing through the crowd into the school gate. Behind us was Subai's gloomy face, dripping with resentment, along with that red sports car and roses scattered all over the ground, like one giant joke. After entering the campus, Ningbing finally couldn't hold it in anymore and burst out laughing. "Shensi, you were so cool just now. Especially that last line. You were absolutely awesome." He mimicked my earlier pose, lowered his voice. "Who told you? I can't give it to him?" Then he doubled over laughing. I sighed helplessly, shook my head and said, "You're such a... Anyway, he probably won't bother you again." Ningbing thought for a moment and replied, "Not sure. I think that guy's kind of dumb. He doesn't seem like the type who gives up easily." I frowned. Ningbing was right. Subai had always had everything go his way. The more he couldn't get something, the more he wanted it. This probably wasn't going to end easily. Subai launched into an obsessive pursuit mode. 3 messages a day. Flowers delivered to our classroom door. Public confessions with banners hung up. Bai Ningbing threw the flowers straight into the trash. Blocked all his contact info. Ripped up his confession banner. Right in front of the whole school. And added sharply, "If you're sick, go see a doctor. Don't come here acting crazy." The whole school treated it as a joke. An overconfident transfer student, daring to challenge the school's universally acknowledged couple. But Subai only grew more persistent. He probably thought my presence was blocking him. So he turned his attention toward me and started pulling all sorts of petty tricks. Had casually mentioned Chenzi in front of Bai Lingbing. Saw you talking to that girl from the next class yesterday. You were smiling so happily. Bai Lingbing didn't even look up, continuing to do her problems. I asked him to borrow notes from her. She's a top student. My Chenza just looks good when he smiles. Subai's face turned green. Then Shed kindly reminded Mingbin. Don't always have Chenza bring you breakfast. It's too hard on him. Look, he was late to morning study. Just because he went to buy those pan-free buns. From your favorite shop. Bai Lingbing finally put down her pen and looked up. She stared seriously at Subai and said, he's my boyfriend. It's not hard for him. Who else would it be hard for? He buys me breakfast, and I help him with homework. That's perfectly natural. But you, aren't you being a bit too nosy? Do you live by the seaside or something? I sat nearby, peeling an apple, watching his ever-changing expressions with amusement. Truly impressive. I cut the peeled apple into small pieces, speared one with a toothpick, and offered it to Bai Ningbean's lips. He opened his mouth, and swallowed it in one bite. His eyes curved into crescent moons. So sweet. Looking at him, my heart melted completely. My Ningbing has always known just how much I love him, and he has always responded to my love in the most direct way. All those little tricks of his didn't even make a sound here. But Subai was like an indestructible cockroach. After failing to drive a wedge between us with one strike, he switched masks again. He started acting all sweet and innocent in front of me. Chen-si, you're so good to Ningbing. I really envy your relationship. I just think Ningbing is such a great girl. She deserves to be liked by even more people. I don't mean to break you two up. I just can't control myself. Damn it. I almost threw the book I was holding right at his face. This grown man was playing mind games right in front of me. Before I could even say anything, Bai Ling's icy voice came from behind me. If you can't control yourself, then shut your eyes if they can't stop wandering. If your legs can't stop moving, go sit in a wheelchair. Do you need my help? Subai's face instantly turned from white to green, then from green to purple. She'd probably never seen a girl as bold as Bai Ningbing in her entire life. She stammered out. Ningbing, that's not what I meant. I just like you so much. Bai Ningbing let out a cold laugh. Your kind of liking is cheap. Like flyers handed out randomly on the street. Who even wants that? He walked over to me, naturally hooking his arm through mine. The icy look in his eyes instantly melted into a pool of spring water when he saw me. Let's go home. Mom, made your favorite sweet and sour pork ribs today. I nodded, letting him pull me away. I didn't even glance at Subai once, the whole time. No need to, my girl had already taken care of all the trouble for me. We walked far beyond the school gates. Before I finally stopped, I turned to look at her, Mingbing. You were absolutely amazing back there. She proudly lifted her chin, like a haughty little peacock. Of course, don't forget who this lady belongs to. Does he really think anyone can just covet her? He should take a good look in the mirror and see what kind of person he really is. I couldn't help it. I reached out and ruffled her hair. Yes, you're the best. He slapped my hand away. Don't mess up my hair. Even though he said that, the corners of his mouth couldn't help but curve upward. I knew he was happy, and I was happy too. This feeling of being firmly chosen by someone is incomparable. He watched as Ningbing and I stood close together, flames practically shooting from his eyes. From that day on, he finally stopped harassing Ningbing. I thought he'd finally given up. I never expected he'd shift his target to me. That day after school, he blocked me right at the classroom door. His expression was serious. No longer that flippant look from before. Chenze, let's talk. I raised an eyebrow. I have nothing to talk to you about. I turned to leave, but he stopped me. It's about Yingbin. I paused. What do you want to say? He looked at me and said, word by word. You don't love him at all. I froze for a second, then laughed out of anger. What gives you the right to say that? Because you're too calm. Subai said, getting visibly worked up. I've chased him for so long, caused so much trouble, and you haven't reacted at all. You just stood there like an outsider watching everything unfold. That's not how a man in love acts toward the woman he loves. Show me if you really loved him. You should have rushed in to stop me the first time I confessed to him, instead of acting like nothing happened. I looked at him and suddenly felt a bit sorry for him. So in your world, love has to be proven with fists and obstruction. Love means being impulsive, reckless. Subai was stunned by my question. That's not what I meant. What I meant is, you should show your possessiveness, your care. The way you are only makes me think you don't care at all whether he gets taken away from you. I shook my head. You're wrong. I do care. I trust him. I trust Mingbing. Just as I trust myself. I trust his integrity. Trust his choices. Trust the bond we've built over more than 10 years. Not something easily shaken by someone's cheap tricks. Calmness isn't because of lack of love, but because of deep trust. This kind of trust you'll never understand. After I finished speaking, I didn't look at him anymore, and walked straight past him. He didn't stop me again. I could feel my words seem to have hit him hard. I walked downstairs. Ningbing was waiting under the shade of a tree, with his backpack on, obediently standing there. When he saw me, he immediately smiled. Let's go home. Sunlight fell on him, casting a golden halo around him. So beautiful. I walked over and took his hand, asked him to go home. The next day he came again. This time he chose a more public setting. The cafeteria. Ningbing and I were eating together. He walked straight over with his tray and sat down across from us. Ningbing immediately frowned. Subai didn't look at him, but stared straight at me. Chenze, I thought about it a lot yesterday, and I think you're right. Trust is important. But is what you're giving Ningbing really what he wants? I calmly moved the green peppers from my tray into Ningbing's bowl, and took the carrots from his bowl into mine. He likes green peppers, and dislikes carrots. I looked up, and gave him a calm glance. You already know. A self-satisfied smirk appeared on Subai's lips. Ningbing is so outstanding. So brilliant. He deserves to stand on a broader stage, not be trapped in this small city by you. I can take him abroad. Show him a more exciting world. And what about you? What can you give him? You just keep him tied to your side, using your so-called childhood bond as chains to restrict his future. That's not love at all. It's selfishness. He spoke with righteous indignation, as if he were the prince rescuing the princess, and I was the dragon locking her away. Before I could speak, Ningbing slammed his chopsticks down hard on the table, making a loud bang. The cafeteria instantly grew quieter. Everyone turned to look at us. Ningbing stood up abruptly, looking down at Subai. Subai, are you out of your mind? And seriously ill at that? My future, my life, where I want to go, what I want to do, it's all my own choice. Who the hell are you to come here and dictate things to me? You call Chenze selfish? I think the most selfish person here is you, under the guise of doing what's best for me. Every word you say is just to feed your pathetic ego. You simply don't understand me, and don't understand your minister. What gives you the right to spout nonsense here? Ningbing's voice was both rushed and angry, and his eyes were red. My heart ached. I immediately stood up. I pulled him behind me to protect my master. I looked at Subai with a cold stare. Subai, I'll tell you one last time. Stay away from my Ningbing. If you dare to anger him again, don't say I wasn't straightforward. My voice wasn't loud, but everyone around could hear every word clearly. Subai's expression turned sour. He never expected Ningbing's reaction to be so intense. Nor did he expect that I, who had been so calm, would say such things. He gritted his teeth. Shenzei, do you only hide behind women? If you're a man, then face me in a proper contest. He finally revealed his true colors. I let out a cold laugh. Who can more effectively infuriate the militia? Well then, excuse me. You win. A burst of roaring laughter erupted around us. Subai's face turned a sickly shade of red. Don't get cocky. I heard you're great at basketball. Let's have a one-and-known basketball showdown. Whoever loses must stay away from Bai Ningbing forever. His voice echoed through the cafeteria. Everyone around was shocked. Using a game to decide who wins the affection of a girl? Ningbing's expression also changed. She clutched my arm tightly. Sensei, ignore him. I patted reassuringly. His hand. Then I looked at Subai. There was not even a hint of tenderness in my eyes anymore. Only a cold intent remained. The basketball court was packed with people. The stars of the show were the two most talked about men in school. One being Subai, the campus heartthrob and rich second-generation kid. And the other, the top scholar, who had long dominated first place. Chenza thought this had literally drawn every gossip-loving student over. Subai had already changed into his professional basketball uniform, warming up on the court. He was performing all sorts of fancy dribbling moves, which drew waves of screams from the girls. She was reveling in the spotlight, as if victory was already within her grasp. Ningbing followed close by my side, his face filled with worry. Kwanzi, do you really want to go through with this? Let's just ignore him. Let's go home, all right? His voice carried a barely noticeable tremor. He was scared, not of losing to me, but of dragging me into this ridiculous situation because of him. I stopped in my tracks. I turned around and looked him straight in the eyes. I reached out my hand, gently smoothing his furrowed brows. Ningbing looked at me. He raised his head. His eyes glistened with moisture. Do you think he'll lose? He was stunned for a moment, then shook his head vigorously. No, my Chenzi would never lose. I laughed. Well then, that's settled. Believe me, I took him by the hand, and we walked onto the court. Every eye in the room instantly focused on us. Subai stopped dribbling, ball in hand, looking at me smugly. So you finally decided to show up? I thought you were too scared to appear. I ignored his taunt, and walked straight to the center of the court. I cleared my throat. Everyone perked up their ears. I looked at Subai. Then my gaze swept over all the onlookers surrounding us. My voice clearly echoed throughout the entire basketball court. Subai, I originally had no intention whatsoever of accepting your ridiculous challenge. Because just by making this move, Ningbing could never possibly like you. I paused for a moment, then suddenly raised my voice. He isn't some object. Why should his ownership be decided through a game? What do you think he is? My words struck like a heavy hammer, hitting hard against everyone's hearts. The girls who had been screaming moments ago now wore complicated expressions. Ningbing's eyes instantly turned red. She looked at me, her eyes filled with gratitude and pride. I continued. I could have completely ignored you, but I was afraid people would say Bai Ningbing has poor taste. Afraid they'd say the person he likes doesn't even dare accept a challenge made on his behalf. I can't let him suffer any gossip. Because of me, so I accept this challenge. Thunderous applause and cheers erupted from the entire crowd. Not for the match itself, but for my words. Subai's face turned extremely grim. With just a few sentences, I'd morally pinned him to a pillar of shame. Before he could even retort, my voice rang out again. But I solemnly swear, I will never ever use my Ningbing as any kind of bargaining chip. He is the treasure I'll protect for my whole life, not something you can casually point at and claim. I turned to look at Subai, my eyes sharp as blades. Subai, do you still dare to compete? If you consider yourself a real man, propose a different condition. Subai was backed into a corner. If he refused now, he'd become the laughingstock of the entire school. He gritted his teeth, forcing out a few words through clenched jaws. Then what do you suggest instead? All eyes in the crowd fixed on me. Everyone waited for my new terms. I looked at Subai's face twisted with fury, feeling utterly calm inside. From the moment he dragged Bai Ningbing into this, he had already lost. Lost utterly and completely. It's simple. Whoever loses must stand before everyone here and say to the winner, you win. And after you lose, don't ever bother us again. As soon as these terms were announced, everyone froze in shock, including Subai. He probably expected me to demand something harsh, never imagining it would be this simple. Just saying you win. What kind of bet was this? He stared at me as if I were an idiot. This bet isn't much, but those 4 words, you win, are the ultimate honor among guys. The boys around started jeering. Subai, don't chicken out now, bro. Weren't you just acting all tough a minute ago? The girls meanwhile overwhelmingly supported me. Sensei is so cool. Now that's true respect. What, are you scared now? I added fuel to the fire. Like hell, I'm scared. He immediately shouted back. Fine. We'll do it your way. Sensei, you just wait. I'll be the one saying. I took off my school uniform jacket, revealing the white t-shirt underneath, and did a few quick stretching movements. Ningbing immediately ran over, holding my jacket and backpack tightly in his arms. He whispered softly to me. Sensei, go for it. But it's okay, even if you lose. Even if you lose, I still only like you. No one can take you away from me. I looked at his serious expression, and couldn't help but smile. I gently pinched his cheek, and said, silly, just hear you say that means I absolutely can't lose. I turned around and walked toward the court. Subai was already waiting for me, holding the ball. His eyes looked like those of an enraged beast. Unfortunately, he picked the wrong opponent. One unknown street ball. First to 21 points wins. Everyone in school knows I'm the undisputed top student in my grade. My time is either spent in the classroom or in the library. During P class, I barely move at all. I've never shown any remarkable athletic talent. As I picked up the ball, I calmly replied to him. Who told you that being good at studying means you must be bad at sports? People like you who judge others based on stereotypes are destined to lose. The match became a complete one-sided domination. My offense, he couldn't stop it. My defense, he couldn't break through. Using the simplest and most effective methods, I scored again and again. The score reached 19-0. Ningbing had long stopped cheering. He just stood by the court, holding my clothes, wearing a proud yet pained smile. He knew I was doing all this for him. I got the ball back. Just one more basket, and the game would be over. Subai was already exhausted, nearly collapsing. He leaned forward, hands on his knees, gasping heavily for breath. Sweat soaked through his jersey, clinging tightly to his body. He looked utterly disheveled. I stood in front of him with the ball, still playing. My voice was calm. He raised his head and stared at me with bloodshot eyes. There was resentment and anger in his gaze, but even more so, a sense of helplessness. Play, he forced out through clenched teeth. It was his last shred of dignity. I nodded. All right. I chose the most direct, and most stunning way to end this match. Standing beyond the three-point line, I started dribbling. Then right in front of him, I took a slow step back, retreating 2 meters behind the three-point line. The crowd erupted in shock. What was he doing? That's way too far. Is he crazy enough to attempt a super long three-pointer? Subai froze as well. Realizing I was mocking him, he roared in fury and charged at me like a madman. Just a split second before he reached me, I jumped. My body extended gracefully in midair, and with a gentle flick of my wrist, the basketball arced perfectly through the air, capturing everyone's attention. Time seemed to slow down in that moment. I could see the ball spinning through the air, see Subai's look of despair, see Ningbing nervously covering his mouth. Then swish, an incredibly crisp, beautiful sound. Nothing but net. 22-0. I'd even given him an extra point. After 2 seconds of stunned silence, the entire crowd exploded into unprecedented cheers and screams. He won. Shenzei won with a super long-range buzzer beater. Is this a movie? So cool. I landed gently on the ground. Without arrogance. Without mockery. I simply gazed quietly at the hoop. Then turned and walked step by step toward the girl standing at the sideline. That girl whose eyes were only on me from start to finish. I pushed through the boiling crowd and walked right up to her. Her eyes were red. Red, yet her smile shone brighter than anyone else's. He spread his arms wide and threw himself into my embrace. I knew it. I knew you were the best. I held him tightly, feeling the real warmth and heartbeat of his body. I bowed my head and whispered in his ear. I won. Then I walked home. The game was over. The crowd gradually dispersed, leaving only Subai behind. He sat dejectedly in the middle of the court. The setting sun stretched his shadow long, making him look so lonely and pathetic. Ningbing and I held hands. We were just about to leave, when suddenly he spoke up. Shenzei, his voice was hoarse. We stopped walking. When we looked back at him, he wasn't looking at us. He just kept his head down, staring at the ground. Why? He asked, why do you have everything? You have such excellent grades, such a great family background, and such amazing basketball skills. His voice was filled with confusion and defeat. You could have told me sooner. You're such a great basketball player. You could have crushed me from the beginning with your skills. Why wait until now to look down on me? What a joke. I fell silent for a moment. Then I stopped in my tracks and turned around. My family background, good or not? My grades, good or not? My basketball skills, good or not? None of it has anything to do with you. I don't need to report any of that to you. Secondly, the reason I didn't hold it against you before, but because in my eyes, you were never fit to be my opponent. Subai suddenly looked up, his eyes filled with defiance. I ignored him. I continued, those little tricks you think are clever seem so childish and laughable to me. The reason I tolerated you all this time, I respect his feelings, but you should never have challenged my limits. You shouldn't have insulted him in that way, nor should you have tried to decide his fate with just one game. So I had no choice but to show you that there is an insurmountable gap between us, a gap that can't be filled with money or looks. It's built on over a decade of unspoken understanding, on absolute trust and respect. These are things you'll never be able to give him. Subai's lips trembled. I had said everything I wanted to say. Then I turned around to leave. Wait, he said, and then spoke again. This time there was no anger or resentment in his voice. Only a tone of dejection remained as he said, Shinza, fine, you win. You're amazing, and I won't look back. I said, waving at Shinza as I held Ningbing's hand. You're really something. Ningbing looked at me, his eyes sparkling. What's that supposed to mean? I'm just protecting you. I replied, looking at him. I will always protect you. He smiled at me. After Xiang Yu, the son of Allah was brilliant and radiant. He nodded heavily. Then he lifted his foot and quickly planted a kiss on my face. While I was still stunned, he had already darted away like a little rabbit, blushing as he ran off. Him heading back first, I touched the spot where he kissed me, still feeling the softness of his touch and the sweet scent lingering there. I couldn't help but smile. It's nice my relationship with Ningbing seems to have shifted subtly. We used to be close, always saying we're each other's most important person, but neither of us ever broke through that invisible barrier. Ever since he kissed me that day, the atmosphere between us has grown increasingly intense. Now, when we walk together, Ningbing naturally holds my hand, instead of just linking arms like before. He started acting clingy toward me, asking me to open bottle caps for him, asking me to carry his backpack. Things he'd never do before. Now all feel perfectly natural, and I enjoy it all. I cherish his dependence on me, and relish this feeling of being fully trusted by him. Our interactions have become even sweeter. One evening during self-study, the teacher was lecturing, and I was diligently taking notes, when suddenly I felt a poke on my arm. I turned my head to see Ningbing blinking his big eyes at me pitifully. He mouthed silently to me, I'm hungry. My snacks ran out. I pulled out a chocolate bar from my desk drawer, and quietly passed it to him. He carefully unwrapped it, broke it in half, popped one half into his mouth, and happily closed his eyes with a blissful expression. Then he held the remaining half up to my lips. I froze for a moment, but he urged me with his eyes. I hesitated briefly, then opened my mouth, and took the chocolate. His fingertip accidentally brushed against my lips, soft and cool. My heartbeat skipped a beat. The sweetness of the chocolate instantly melted in my mouth, spreading sweetness straight into my heart. Ningbing's face instantly flushed red. He quickly pulled his hand back, and buried his head in his book, not daring to look at me again. I watched his bright red ears, and couldn't suppress the smile tugging at my lips. On the day the college entrance exam ended, we walked out of the exam hall. The sky was clear blue, the sunlight dazzling. All around us students were cheering, hugging, celebrating their freedom. But I just held Ningbing's hand, and walked slowly through the crowd. Neither of us spoke, until we reached the tree where we played together since childhood. I stopped walking, turned to face him. His eyes reflected the blue sky and white clouds, and also reflected my own image. Ningbing, I began, my voice slightly hoarse. I have something to tell you. He nodded, looking up at me obediently. Go ahead, he said. I took a deep breath, took his hand, and placed it over my heart. Ningbing, from the very first day you were born, you've lived right here, for 18 years straight. Don't you think it's time to pay some rent? He stood stunned, clearly not expecting this. Rent? What rent? I looked at his bewildered expression, and smiled. It's simple. Pay with the rest of your life. Bye, Ningbing, I love you. Not the love of childhood friends. Not the love of an older brother for his younger sister. Will you be my real girlfriend? Sunlight filtered through the gaps between the leaves, casting dappled shadows on the ground. Tiny glimmers of light flickered in his eyes. Then those glimmers gathered together, forming crystalline tears. They rolled down his cheeks. He didn't say a word. He just stood on his tiptoes, reached out both arms, and tightly wrapped them around my neck. Then, with a kiss tasting of salty tears, he gave me his answer. That summer, the breeze was gentle. We went to the same city for college, enrolled in different majors at the same school, yet lived in the same apartment building. Our love didn't grow dull because we were closer. Instead, it grew even more affectionate. We'd attend classes together like any ordinary couple, study together in the library, and stroll along the tray-lined paths of campus. We'd share a pair of earphones, listening to the same song. On weekends, I'd take him to try every delicious food in the city, from fancy Western restaurants to spicy street-side skewers. Whenever he wanted something, I'd always go with him. During holidays, we'd travel together, to see snow-capped mountains, to see the ocean, leaving our footprints and photos in every beautiful place we visited. Our way of being together remained as motzi and sweet as ever. I still remembered all his little habits, that he wouldn't eat scallions or cilantro, that I knew exactly when he wasn't feeling well, and that he loved anything strawberry-flavored. And he'd make me a cup of warm milk when I stayed up late working on research, hand me a bottle of water when I got tired from playing basketball, and give me a warm hug whenever I faced setbacks. We were each other's strongest support. On graduation day, I proposed to him. There was no grand ceremony, no expensive diamond ring, just in the small apartment where we lived together for 4 years. I knelt down on one knee and pulled out the ring I bought with my first scholarship money. Miss Bai Ling Bing, will you marry me? He cried so hard he couldn't speak clearly, only nodding repeatedly. I do. Of course I do. We held our wedding soon after. It was simple. Only our families and closest friends were invited. C.E., our high school classmate, stood on stage telling the story of our lives together, from our betrothal as children, to growing up as childhood friends, all the way to that legendary basketball game that shook the whole school. The guests listened with great interest, but my eyes were only on my bride. She wore a pure white wedding gown, as beautiful as an angel. As we exchanged rings, I looked into his eyes, and solemnly made my vows. I say, take you as my wife. I will love you and protect you, in poverty or wealth, in sickness or health. I will always stay by your side, never leaving, never forsaking you. He looked back at me, smiling through tears. Bing Bing feels the same. Life after marriage was peaceful yet happy. We built our own home, and pursued our own careers. 2 years later, we welcomed a new member into our family, a very adorable daughter. We named her Chen Si Ning. Si as in missing, and Ning from Ning Bing. Our daughter perfectly inherited Ning Bing's beauty and my intelligence. She was a little beauty from childhood, and also a bit of a prodigy at school, but her personality was just like Ning Bing's, lively and cheerful, with a touch of bossiness. Her favorite thing to do was to strut triumphantly on my neck, while Ning Bing took photos of us. Every time this happened, Ning Bing would always smile and say, look, our family now has 2 little sons. I'd hold our daughter close and kiss my wife's forehead, feeling a sense of fulfillment and happiness I'd never known before. Childhood sweethearts, growing up together, from school uniforms to wedding gowns, from first love to old age. How incredibly fortunate I am to have such an enduring, lifelong love. Thank you, my Ning Bing, for lighting up my entire life.